When evaluating expired domains, two key age metrics can reveal a lot about value and history. Hi everyone, Jacob Handley here today with another video from Expired Domains. In today's video, we're going to be talking about two metrics that you'll see here on expireddomains.com when you're searching for your next domain that are very important. First one is Wayback Age, ABY, on expireddomains.com, and then Whois Age, WBY, on expireddomains.com. Wayback Age, ABY, on expireddomains.com, refers to the earliest year the domain had an archived website on the Internet Archive, i.e. when it first had content online. Whois Age, WBY, on expireddomains.com, refers to how long the domain has been registered from the creation date in the Whois record. Now that we kind of know which is which, why do we care? Why does this matter when it comes to domains? So generally, older is better. Search engines consider older domains more trustworthy, and they often have more backlinks and authority. However, discrepancies between Wayback and Whois ages can signal interesting twists in a domain story and history. So let's break down a few scenarios and what they mean and how these can combine and why they matter for your next domain purchase. So there's four key scenarios that this can be a combination of, and we're going to go through each one and talk about what they mean and which one you should be looking for. So scenario one, Wayback Age old, Whois age old. This is the truly ideal scenario. This means the domain has been registered for a long time and it had a website up long ago that was indexed and archived. In other words, it's got a continuous ongoing history. This typically implies a stable domain that's been maintained over the years without ever expiring. Such a domain is more than likely to have accumulated a lot of backlinks, a lot of trust, and a lot of great SEO, and is a very seasoned domain. It also heavily implies that the name was so valuable and is so valuable that no one ever allowed it to drop. Perhaps it's been an established business, perhaps it's just a high value domain in general. This is usually the best combo of the ages and ABY and WBY. Scenario 2, Wayback Age old and Whois age new. What I'd call the reborn domain. Here, the Wayback Machine shows the domain had an active website years ago, old content history, but the current Whois registration date is recent. This strongly indicates the domain expired and dropped at some point, but then was re-registered by a new owner. The Whois birthday got reset. So, in plain terms, the domain had a life, it died, expired, and was reborn under new ownership. This scenario is a mixed bag for value. On one hand, the old archive means there's an existing backlinks and name recognition and it's been around for a long time. But on the other hand, since it drops, you have to ask why. Good domains and great domains rarely ever drop unless something went wrong. Someone neglected it, business failure, spam, penalties, whatever. A great example of this is spend.com, a one-word premium domain with an old history that accidentally expired in 2025 this year. It was caught by Dropcatch and auctioned for $802,000. This shows that even an excellent domain can drop sometimes by mistake. In this case, the previous register was Amazon, which let it slip. $800,000 mistake, Jeff Bezos. For the new owner, the Whois now says 2025 as the creation for spend.com, but the way back shows a legacy of use. If the name is truly great, like spend.com, it can still command a high price due to the branding value alone, but for the average domain, old Wayback, new Whois typically lowers confidence compared to an interrupted history like in that first scenario we talked about. Always research the previous content. If the domain was used for spam or got penalized, the baggage could carry over. In summary, approach these situations with a bit of caution, but don't write them off. Sometimes gems get away and have to be reborn. Our third scenario is Wayback Age new, Whois age old. This is the parked for ages domain. In this case, the domain has been registered a long time ago, the old Whois date, so it never dropped, but the Wayback Machine shows little to no history until more recently. This often means the domain was held, perhaps by an investor or a dormant project, and was never developed into a website that got archived. Maybe it just had a placeholder or was redirected and parked with no indexed content. So, what does this mean for actual value? The positive is the domain has an unbroken registration age and it's been around on paper, which can slightly help with trust and its ability to be resold and its value. It also implies someone thought the name was worth renewing for all those years and never letting it drop. However, the lack of an active history probably means it doesn't have a lot of SEO built into it. Few or no backlinks for an existing audience. It's a clean slate despite the technical age. For a lot of the SEO, you'd be starting from scratch because there's no aged content, backlinks, or anything really connected to it since it's never had a real website. Though it's worth noting, many domain investors encounter this with old premium domains that sat unused and people sitting on them and waiting to resell them and not developing them but holding on to them. But unless it's a premium domain, it doesn't automatically make it worth more, especially if you're factoring in SEO. So in a situation like that, if you don't care about SEO and you know the name's valuable, go for it. But if SEO is on your mind, this is probably not a good situation to be looking at for your domain. And the final situation, number 4. Way back age new, Whois age new, the fresh start domain. This means the domain was recently registered and also has no significant history on the Wayback Machine. In all likelihood, this is a brand new domain or was parked without content, hence no archives. From an SEO and marketing perspective, you're starting at ground zero. This doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, just it's new on all kinds of records, and it comes down to the name quality itself entirely. And that's really the only thing you should be looking at in a scenario like that. As a domain investor, you'd usually only invest in this kind of scenario if the name itself is super strong or you have a purpose and a development plan for that name specifically. Otherwise, you should be looking at the other 3 scenarios that we talked about. As you saw at the start of this video, ABY and WBY are actually metrics and categories you can use on our website for free when looking at your next domain. So you can easily spot these scenarios and use this info to make informed decisions on your next domain investment, whether it's for SEO, whether it's to resell as an investor, or whatever you may do with these domains. If you're hunting for great domains and looking for a great free tool to find more domains, obviously try expireddomains.com. Good luck out there, happy domain hunting, and I'll see you in the next video.